Hey everybody, it's Forbes Riley and welcome to today's show. There's a very interesting thing that's happening as we grow older. Something is liable to happen to you: Parkinson's, dementia, cancer. You're very lucky if you're like my grandmother. She died at 96 having her nails done completely healthy. I don't think that's true for a lot of people though. And my next guest has a powerful story and something that you're going to want to listen to if you're somebody who's aging, like all of us. Please welcome to the program, Joanne Ross. Joanne,
Hi.
it's so nice to have you here.
It's amazing to be here. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. You look just absolutely stunning. You have a wonderful, powerful story.
I do.
Share it with me.
Oh, I'm going to start by saying that my company is called Savor the Moment in Serenity. And I have always been about living in the moment, enjoying the littlest things, from a blueberry to a butterfly to a bird to a rainbow. Every moment is a gift and meant to be savored.
Now, wait a second. How did you come to that? I mean, we were literally talking earlier, and get this. She's like, when kids were little, you taught them to savor like ants crossing on the ground.
Absolutely. It was fascinating.
Where did you come to this?
I think that's just the way that I'm made. I don't know. Nature is my, nature is my source of energy.
Well, I will tell you, I did have a moment, and ants are pretty funny that you said that when we were talking earlier. I was in Costa Rica, and I came across a string of ants, and they all had a little piece of a leaf. And there was a whole line of ants all carrying a little piece of a leaf, maybe building their home or something. And I thought, that is fascinating. But most people don't savor the moment. Where did you come to this?
Honestly, it has always been, I guess, since my kids were born, maybe. It's just always been the way that I just love life. I love the flowers, the trees, the butterflies, everything just makes me happy. And you notice everything I said was nature, wasn't it?
Yeah,
yes,
it really was. And see, now I'm a kid from New York, so I'm not good with nature. I like buildings and traffic and subways and things.
Farm girl.
There you go. Where did you grow up?
Well, I grew up in Canada, in Manitoba, in Winnipeg itself. But my father was also a farmer, so we had a farm in a little town called St. Jean. Yeah.
What did he farm?
He farmed all sorts of wheat, oats, barley, sometimes peas. Yeah.
So you learn things, and I'm sure that you didn't realize it when you're growing up, but you learn things by growing up on a farm, don't you?
Oh, absolutely,
like
yes. What? So I didn't realize this until years later. So when I was an accountant and an auditor for a company, nobody would care if I didn't ever come to work again. But when you're a farmer, every single day you can lay your head on the pillow and say, I made a difference in the world today. I fed the world today.
Oh, that is so profound. Is your dad still alive?
Yes. He is, he's an amazing man. Yes, I hope that I can be just like him when I'm his age.
Now, speaking of that, we talked about aging. You have a pretty profound story with your mom.
Yes, and it all started with my grandfather.
Okay.
So I've always been very close to my family. I have a beautiful extended family. And when I was in my 20s, my grandfather was in a nursing home. And I would go on a regular basis and play crib with him. And he would get so angry when I won because I was a woman. But I still went all the time. And I would notice that the same people are sitting in their wheelchairs in the same spots in the hallway every time I went, and waiting.
Waiting. Isn't that a profound statement? They were waiting. What were they waiting for?
Waiting for what? And all I could think of is they're waiting for somebody to come and visit them and spend some time with them.
Oh.
So one time I went and I walked into my grandfather's room, and he had no idea who I was.
What do you mean?
He didn't remember my name. He didn't know that I was his granddaughter. And I have never, even with all the crappy experiences I've had later in my life, there is nothing in my life that has shattered my little heart like that. That really hurt.
Oh.
It was the first time that a human being with dementia didn't recognize somebody that he had known my whole life.
Right. Wow, that is profound.
And so later on in life, my beautiful, vibrant mother started to have dementia. And I witnessed this incredible, strong, independent, tiny but very mighty woman slowly disappear, bit by bit by bit, over several years.
I'm sorry.
It's like she was vanishing in front of my eyes. And 2 weeks ago, as I was sitting by her side, I watched her take her last breath.
Mm.
So I like to say she was there when I entered the world, and I was there when she left.
Oh, you're going to make me cry. That is so beautifully touching. It's also set you on a path, though. You know, it's funny, dementia seems to be getting more and more in the news as Bruce Willis is dealing with it, and many other people. It's a disease of the brain, or what happens with dementia?
It is a disease of the brain, and it can start many years before you actually even notice that anything has changed. And the thing is, the more intelligent the person is,
Right.
the better they can hide it from you. So instead of saying your name, it's, oh, hi, how are you today? I haven't seen you in so long. Instead of, Forbes, I've missed you. And in everything that they do, they'll walk behind people to let other people cue them as to what they're supposed to do. So if you know what to look for, there can be tiny little signs.
Well, how about if you're the one experiencing it? I forget names all the time now, or my keys are, or things that I used to remember. Is that one of the signs?
It certainly could be, or it certainly could be that you're just busy, that you're stressed, that you're emotional. So it could come from all sorts of different places. So the only way to really get assessed is to do, they do mind tests or memory tests. Mm-hmm. And this is, again, I touched, I'm so sorry.
Oh, no, you're fine.
Okay, again, from my personal experience, and I can only speak from my personal experience and the research that I've done, mm-hmm. because this is probably the most important thing. Every human being on this planet is unique. We're all different. Even if you're twins, you have twins.
I do.
Are they the same?
I hope not. One's a boy and one's a girl.
Are their personalities different?
Oh my gosh. You know, and I have probably 5 sets of identical twins who are very close to me.
Okay.
And when you get to know them, they don't look the same. Technically
yes,
they do, but they are very different. They always have different personalities.
And they have different personalities.
Yes.
So every single human being on the planet is that way. We're all unique.
Right.
So when it comes to dementia, your journey is going to be unique because you're unique.
Got it. So, but of course, as a caregiver, it just is pretty devastating. But one of the problems too, it's funny. I don't know the whole care system. My dad passed away in the hospital quickly, had cancer, he was gone. My mom, I cared for her in the house until I could no longer physically care for a woman who could not get out of bed. I checked her into this nursing home. She lasted 24 hours and was gone.
Wow.
So I have no experience, but I have seen movies and have visited friends in homes. And you hear horror stories, especially throughout COVID, about how care is given and delineated. Talk to me about it.
Ouch. You blindsided me, beautiful. So, my mom was happily married. She loved this man with all of her heart.
Right.
And when her dementia started to get a little bad, he came home from work one day and said, "I'm leaving."
Oh no.
And she never saw him again. And she loved him so much.
Was it because he couldn't handle her disappearing?
And we tried to offer all kinds of solutions to make it easier for him.
I have a stack for you.
Thank you. And he didn't want to have anything to do with it. Just everything we offered as a means of making things easier for him was a no. So
was it because
did it again.
No, relax. Was it because he was sad or?
No, you know what? They were both in their 80s at this point in time.
Okay.
And it's emotionally exhausting. It's physically exhausting. My mother had, so she was, I don't know if she was unique or not, but she had olfactory hallucinations.
Okay.
So she would smell things that weren't there. So she would always tell him he smelled like hell.
Oh no.
So, and all night long, like, you can't sleep with me, you smell, and she wouldn't sleep, and she would roam around all night long.
Oh.
So it was just too much, and I get that. But we could have found ways where we could have made it work. Anyways, he didn't want to have anything to do with it. We're not going to harp on him.
And he left.
And he left. So because she was living in an apartment block and she couldn't be alone because she's a liability to the block, and I didn't want to change anything in her life. Okay, this is already a big, huge change. So
Right.
I actually lived with her for 9 months, and she didn't recognize me. I could talk to you forever about this. It was horrible.
Oh, baby, I'm so
horrible.
sorry. I want to bring it back around to how you're helping people.
Okay.
Because it is powerful and emotional, and I love, Joanne, that you are being so vulnerable to share this. It's a really important message.
It is.
For not only my audience, but everyone out there who certainly has, as aging parents, that's a new phenomenon, that baby boomers are living into their 80s and 90s.
Yes.
Things are going to go wrong. You know, it's funny, and I have a friend who's 97 years old. Her name is Elaine Lillane. She was married to the beautiful Jack Lillane, who passed away about 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And spunky fun, but she's losing her eyesight, macular degeneration. She's losing her knee, her ability to walk. And it's crushing her spirit because she's inside a 22-year-old. And so but 97 is pretty darn amazing.
It is amazing.
But we all don't know how to do this. So you've come up with a unique solution. Take a big breath. Guys, I want you to get excited. This is not a downer type show. Joanna, well, but this is what I encourage all of you to do, to take the life lessons that you've got and turn it into something amazingly positive. So Joanna said, you know what? The environment of caregiving is hard. To leave a woman in her own apartment who may not be able to take care of herself, certainly as you're working, you've got kids, it's challenging, but there's a quality of life that is really important. Do you agree?
Absolutely.
So you've created something. Tell me about it.
So I have done a lot of work in trying to think of how best to give these people quality of life. And the personal care homes, it's not their fault. They don't have the time to do this properly. So I've designed a dementia village, and there are some across the world, but mine is very unique and very different. So it has a dementia village with lots of aspects that let them enjoy life.
Okay.
And there's also a wellness center, and I also have independent living for people who are intellectually disabled, so that this is a community of people. And there's also apartment blocks so that people who have to go into memory care can still have their spouse nearby, so they don't have to be separated. They can spend time together, and then they can go back home.
So you have designed this entire living community center.
Yes.
Is it in the planning stages?
I am having a concept drawing done, and by somebody in Sri Lanka, which sounds so exotic. And I am meeting with lawyers to determine what the best business setup is for this enterprise.
I love this.
Yeah, and I've already found my VP of medical services. So yes, my daughter-in-law is a home care worker, and she actually quit. And she went in to be a machinist, of all things. And she's the most caring, compassionate, beautiful woman. And I know that she knows what's needed, and everything is from her heart. So for her to be in charge of that, people are going to be lining up to work there as caregivers, because dignity, respect, fun, joy, and quality of life is for the residents and the caregivers.
I love that. Will you look at my audience at home, and if you would share with them what you're up to, what you're looking for, how they can support this, and how they may in fact need and want what you're doing.
So this is something that's important for all of us. And what I've developed is I've developed some workshops and ways that give survival tips for caregivers, and also for people who are starting the process of memory loss. And it's all based on my experience and my research. I am not a doctor, I will say that up front. But I can give you tools and I can give you things that you can consider and ask your doctor about. And the most important thing is, remember, you are unique, you know your body, and you know yourself. So be in tune with yourself and be honest with yourself. So I have a free gift at Free Gifts from Joe Ross, and it has some tips, and there's a checklist that you can go through and just some facts that can help you.
I'm very excited about what you're up to.
Thank you.
Number one, I think that it's underlooked. You know, it's funny, when my parents were going through their end of life, I kept hearing the word hospice, and I didn't understand it. I didn't understand that you could be a hospice worker. They're in hospice. Was it a noun? Was it a verb? It's both of those things. And by the time I concluded all of this, it was too late. They were gone. This is 20 years ago, before the internet made everything easier. And I'm like, how do I learn about this? And if it had been dementia, how do you learn about this? So I'm going to ask that people reach out to Joanne to find out about the signs, whether you're going through it, whether somebody that you love is going through it. Is it important to get it diagnosed?
The earlier the better. So here's another very interesting fact. So there's medication that you can take. And with my mom's case, we had to clean up a lot of things before we could get to the medication stage, because it could have been other things that were causing what was happening. So we went to the doctor, who she flirted with. And
You're so cute.
He told us, so 43% of the population, nothing happens. 50% of the population take this medication and they stay exactly the same, and 7% get better. My mom was the 7%.
Oh, wow.
She recognized me. Like, it made a huge, huge difference. She graced us with periods of clarity where she chose which home she wanted to go to in the end. She chose which of her possessions were going to come with her. And she chose to divorce her husband. And my brother and I did the work for her.
What an inspirational light you are. What do you see for your future?
So sweet. What do I see for my future? This complex, this dementia village, which is named in honor of my mom. So it's Chez Juliette is the name of the dementia village.
Okay, say her name again?
Juliette, so Juliette, it's in French.
Oh, yeah. I love that.
Chez Juliette.
Chez Juliette,
Yes.
I love that.
So this is going to be franchisable. I want this model. No, not I want. This model is going to be replicated around the world. This is how people deserve to end their lives, with quality and joy and fun.
I don't think most people look at it particularly that way, and I love what you just said. Anything else you want to share with the world?
Be happy and live your life with intention and savor every moment.
Joanne Ross, you are a gift to me, to the show, and to my audience. I want to thank you very much.
Thank you, beautiful.
You guys watching, this is a very profound episode. We all deserve a quality of life throughout our life, and certainly towards the end of our life. We come into on a certain date. There's a dash. We will leave on a certain date. Make the dash count. My name is Forbes Riley. You're watching our show, and I so appreciate you. Stay tuned for more. We're going to take a quick break.